Hi everyone, and welcome to Tap Into Your Creativity. Today we have my good friend and amazing artist, Sara Schroeder, joining us from Florida, from Miami, and you are in for a treat. She is not only an amazing artist, but she's become a good friend of mine, and she is so talented, and I can't wait for her to tell you her story and what she's doing now. And it's been an incredible journey for her. And I'm so happy that she's here today. She's been with me before, and I see her, and I'm going to bring her in. And so just hold on for 1 second, and she will join us. And there she is.
Hi.
Hello, my friend. How are
Hi.
you?
Good. How are you?
Good. It's so good to see you again.
You too, always.
Always. I was telling everyone that, we have become such good friends throughout this process. And if you missed some of our interviews before, we've had incredible conversations. And Sara has been in my army of artists before, and she's been generous enough to donate a piece. And we will be donating another piece from her today. So stay tuned because we're going to show that, and it's amazing. So thank you, my friend. Welcome.
Of course. Well, thank you for having me back again. I appreciate it. I love being here. I love talking to you anyway, but it's always nice to do something extra with it.
For sure, for sure. And we'll keep doing it, It's just
Yeah.
it's this ongoing situation that we have, which is really great. And hey, Robin, our good friend Robin just joined. She's also an army of artists, so I love when my artists come in. It's a great thing. So, Sara, so what's going on? Tell us a little bit about. I know there's Casey. Hi, how are you? Um, just tell us a little bit about just yourself. I know a lot of people know who you are, but for new people, tell us a little bit about you and your story.
Okay. That's always like the broadest thing to start with.
I know, I'm
Um,
sorry.
no, it's okay. So I am a mom and an artist. I work from my house. And I'm still in the midst of raising kids. I have four that are at various states of being moved out or moved in, and especially with COVID back and forth. Um, I grew up in Idaho and moved to Florida when I was like 22-ish. So now, not to give away my age, but I've spent, like at least half my life in Florida.
At least, if not
Yeah,
more.
yeah, not much more, but we did finally hit the mark with my last birthday that officially I've been in Florida more than I was in Idaho. So, um, I have some Northwest, like mountain girl in me, and I also have some Florida, Miami Beach girl. Um, I paint abstract work, and I started, well, so as a kid, I always liked to make things and found myself like painting as I got a little bit older, like middle school age and high school, I was painting because of art classes. Um, I did not start out going to college for fine art, but I got there and realized that what I was studying just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And I really was kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing studying this because it's not what I thought. And at that point, I realized that I had kept going back to my dorm room and was working on this big oil pastel drawing I had just pasted on my dorm room wall. And it occurred to me, I don't know why it took that, but it finally occurred to me that maybe I should be doing art. I guess nobody discouraged me from pursuing fine art. I think that just because the way the world works and the messages you're given in the world, that you think you can't make a living making art. So I just kind of was like, oh, I can't, why would I do that? I can't make any money doing that. Um, and my mom is an artist. So like my house was very,
Eclectic.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just it was a creative place, and we always had all the supplies, and my mom helped me, draw things and paint things, and she kind of would always be like, well, like if the light's over here, then this is what it's going to do here. Like she was giving me these little lessons all along the way. um but I kind of, so I lost my train of thought, but I wasn't discouraged. That was my point, that it was always a welcome, and kind of like, what is the word I'm looking for?
Well,
Not
I think
encouraged,
that
but
you were,
this,
no, you were inspired by your
I,
surroundings and you
yeah,
had
I think
everything
so.
in front of you to actually do it and you were encouraged
Right. It
to
was
do it.
accessible, and maybe that's the word I was looking for. It was always
Yeah.
accessible.
Yeah. And
Um,
encouraged in a way, because when you have things accessible and you have parents that are helping you, be creative and do things, I think that's a huge thing. I mean, you were very fortunate to have that.
yeah, yeah. So when I decided to switch to be a fine arts major, there was nothing from my parents saying, no, don't do that. They just were kind of like, okay. So I switched. Um, and I did not end up finishing that degree because my son was born, and I decided I'd rather stay home and take care of him. So that's kind of where my shift went from, doing whatever I wanted to do to being mom. Um, and then I would just kind of like paint sporadically for my own satisfaction, or if I was making a gift for somebody or something like that, and with no regularity whatsoever. Um, and then around 2015, I started back into it again, just kind of also just for me, but then it started to kind of become a habit, like a daily ritual where I would sit down and do something, because I had discovered Instagram and like these little challenges you could do. And I was making these little note cards. I would have somebody send me a quote, and then I would do the quote and do like a little illustration on the note card and mail it to the person just for fun.
Yeah.
And then I did the 100-day project. And then from there, it just kind of like I started to figure out what I wanted to do, and that I really loved this. And like a part of me that kind of was dormant woke up. And I just, I guess in 2018, I kind of played around with it for a while, and I was doing it really regularly. And I think 2017 maybe was where we had moved, and I had a studio, which I kind of commandeered for myself. Like when we were looking for the house, and I never discussed with my husband that I wanted a studio, but I had really been doing a lot of artwork, and I was dreaming about it. And every time I was the one that kind of did the legwork looking for the new house. And I went with the realtor, I was always like, well, this could be good for a studio. And so she was like all on board with the studio thing. So I would go like, I would go scout the houses, and we would talk about what would be good for a studio. And then I would find like a couple that I wanted my husband to go back and look at. And every time she'd be like, and this one has great room for a studio. And he's like, why are we talking about a studio? I was like, because we're going
I
to have
love
one.
that.
So fortunately, this house has like an office that's right attached to the garage. And so when we saw this house, I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. And he happened to love the house anyway. So that's how I got my
So
studio.
it's a win-win.
Yeah, exactly. So that was really so we had moved, I had the studio, my youngest child, my daughter, went to school full time. And I was kind of like, all right, well, this is going to be it. I didn't have any specific goals. I was just like, I'm just going to treat it like it's my part-time job, or, whenever they're at school, I'm going to paint, and let's see what happens. And that's kind of how I ended up where I am.
Amazing. I mean, I also think that you grew so fast
Yeah.
on social media, but also
Mhm.
on your practice. I think that, for you, I think we talked before, the 100 day project really helped you to kind of show up every day and kind of post every day
Right.
and because I get this question all the time, like how to grow your audience on Instagram. And I know the algorithms have changed and all that stuff, but like you were hitting it right on 2017, around that
Yeah.
time,
Mm-hmm.
2018.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember correctly, like in one year, you all of a sudden were at 10,000 followers. Well,
Yeah.
if you look back, now you're over 60,000 followers.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that you have grown this much And can you talk to that a little bit? And what do you feel like when you think you have all these people following you? Do you feel responsible to then show up, or is it okay to not show up every day?
That's that's a good question. I feel like we dabbled in this topic a little bit already. So yes, I feel somewhat responsible to continue showing up. I think everything did sort of like, I don't remember if it was you and I who were talking, but I feel like, almost like Instagram like snowballed and was like dragging me with it. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I was loving it, every minute of it. But then all of a sudden I get to this place and I was kind of like, what am I doing? Like, who's the boss of me? Like, is it Instagram or is it me?
Yeah.
So, I do really love it. And I do, love that I can connect with so many people and so many people can discover my artwork. It's become really demanding, not the people, but Instagram itself, and how, where we used to be able to post one static picture and anybody could see it, they could stumble across it. It's a lot harder for that to happen now. So in order for us to, as creators, keep making and keep getting new eyes on our work and to keep trying to grow and build a business, it's harder because now, to get the same eyes on your work, you have to do a post that has 5 pictures in it, and you have to do a reel, or you have to, like, there's so much more work required per post, to get new eyes on your work, that it can be pretty exhausting.
Yeah.
So I have, dialed it back a lot from what I used to do, because I used to, it started just the regularity with the 100-day project, where I would, at 9 o'clock every morning, I would post a new piece of work every morning. I don't think I even missed weekends. And then if I missed a day, I just barely missed a day. I didn't do double.
Did that make you accountable for your artwork, or
Yes.
was that like, I need to post? Was that more for the
It was
artwork,
it was a
or
little
was
bit
it a
of both.
combination?
It was a little bit of both, but I think it was a great motivator to keep me creating, especially because I was doing such small pieces that I could do pretty quickly. And I was in a very experimental phase, so I wasn't too concerned about doing a particular body of work. So it was really just me exploring, and those ones that I was doing took maybe 20 minutes to do. So I could sit down easily and do one in 20 minutes, or I could, if I had an hour, I could do, like 3 of them and just kind of be prepared for the coming days. So I think it was a great exercise, both for my skills and, just for being able to get out there in front of people. Now what I'm feeling more is that I don't necessarily want to expose everything I'm doing, because I think my work is kind of taking a turn, and it's becoming, I think, more personal, and, has more depth to it. And I feel like I need to put more work in per piece. So it would be really difficult for me to be able to, post something every day, because they're just going to take longer. And
Yeah.
so there's the part of me that's like, oh no, I can't keep up with Instagram. I don't know but I'm sure there's probably a way for me to do it, where I can show little pieces, or it is definitely something that goes into my thought process. But at the same time, there's really a big part of me that wants to step back and not touch Instagram for a week. Like, I want to be in my studio, never pick up my phone, because it's like, it's pulled me along, and I've allowed it to pull me along, and I've basically become addicted to it. I hate to say it, but I really have. But now I feel like I refuse to pick up my phone before a certain time.
You're not alone, I have to say. You're not
Yeah.
alone. And we just need to listen to what's inside of us when it's too much and it's providing anxiety and that you have to
Yeah.
post.
Yeah.
Please don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Leave your phone alone, because it will not help you at all. And it needs to be something that it's both ways, that you love what you're doing and you want to share what you're doing and people want to know what you're doing. And I think that you have to have that balance so
Yeah.
it doesn't become overwhelming and take over your life, right?
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of emerging artists are really looking for those likes and for, to be engaged and if they don't get it, it plays with your psyche.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you just have to be so careful with all that. I
Yeah.
really, especially this year that we've been on Zoom and, using our phones more than we ever thought that we would.
Yeah.
Just pay attention to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I find too that I I know so many people are interested in my process and how I work and what goes into each piece, and I want to share those things, but what I'm, you learn as you go. So it's I enjoy doing that sometimes, but I don't want to have the camera rolling all the time. I don't want to make a video to go with every piece of artwork, or because it's you're turning on the camera, turning off the camera, adjusting the camera, doing it, and then you're spending 20 minutes editing a video, and then, which sometimes is fun and that feels good to me because I enjoy that also. But then if it feels like, oh my gosh, I haven't done a video this week, I have to put it together, then it starts to feel like a drag, and then I'm kind of like, oh, I don't want to do this right now.
And it takes away from your practice.
It
That's
takes
the
away
one
from,
thing that
yeah,
I have noticed,
yeah,
when you're so invested in doing the videos and doing all this, it takes away from your practice. So
yeah.
let me go back a little bit, Sara, with you and tell us how you decided that you were going to be an abstract painter and what made you take that path. How did you go into that?
Um, well, used I would say used to paint more realistically. Like cityscapes and whatever. I just didn't. I never pursued abstract because I really had not tried it. So everything I was doing was representational. And then when I had signed up for an art class, and she had given us this supply list, and I went to the store and I got everything, and I was just kind of trying things out before the class started. And one of the supplies was the Winsor and Newton watercolor pens or watercolor markers. And I was just playing with it, and I noticed I just loved it when I was just doing stuff, and something happened with it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. And that is actually how my 100-day project was born, because I loved it so much. And at the time, I think, I had seen some artists on Instagram doing some abstract work, and I kind of was like looking at this material and the way the water was reacting with the pens, and just the thought of being able to create something abstract, like a light went on in my head, and I just was like, okay, well, I'm just going to do these for 100 days. I'm going to use these markers, and I'm going to do little 6x8 paintings. And then I really didn't have any, that was my parameter, like 6x8, use the watercolor markers. And I brought in pastels and pencil and crayon, like anything. I would try anything to mix the media and just see what would happen. And that was really how I went down the abstract road. But also, it just sometimes is faster that, like as a mom, and I'm living these two lives, and sometimes you can sit down for 5 minutes, or sometimes you get a blissful day of like 3-hour chunks. But I felt it was easier to start and pick it back up again, or maybe if I'm doing like a 9x12 piece, I can start 3 of them and kind of work through them, and I could potentially finish those in a day. So it was just it was faster for me. And then I also found that it was more enjoyable emotionally for me, because you're starting with something, you're just starting with what you want. So it takes a minute to like sit and, I don't, like, for lack of a better phrase, but like feel into yourself and just kind of be like, okay, what do I really want? Do I want to Like, am
Right.
I going to start with marks? Am I going to start with the color? Am I going to, where is this going to go? So I think I enjoy that part of it too, where I feel like I'm putting more of myself into it. I'm not just drawing something that I see.
Yeah.
Um,
And I also think that, part of the things that I've seen throughout the years with you is also you experiment with a lot of materials,
yeah.
until you find the right one that fits for you. I think it is so important for people to do that and to know which, because, I know that both you and I get questions like, what are your favorite materials and how do you use them and all that.
Mhm.
And we'll go into that because Sarah's going to show us a little bit of that. But I think that's a big, huge thing in our journey to experiment and to be out there and not to have a perfect piece because, like everyone says, it takes 100 to take to
Yeah.
one good piece, right?
Yeah.
So, can you talk to me a little bit about the process of your materials and how you have found the things that you like?
Uh, I I feel like it just kind of, I'm curious. So, um, I guess that's a good question because I don't know. Like some of it is I'll be looking for something on the website, buying supplies, and then something will pop up, and I'm like, ooh, what's that? In fact, like I can show you. I'll take you around the studio, but I just ordered some stuff, and I was like, maybe that would be cool. So I have all these things I haven't used yet. Um, and sometimes, I have an idea in my head and I know what I want and I've tried to, I don't know if the thing exists that I want. So I've tried to kind of like invent something on my own or, for the longest time, I wanted this giant, like I wanted a really big watercolor brush and I could not find one the size that I wanted. And I really was contemplating about asking my daughter if I could have some of her hair. Which she would never let me because she refuses to
Oh my
cut her
God.
hair. It's like down past her butt.
She would be like, here you go, mom.
Yeah, I was like, we can leave it in a braid. Just let me use the bottom of the
Oh my
braid.
God, I love that.
But then I actually saw Jessica Mathieu on one of these lives, and she was using the Hake brush,
Yes,
which is massive.
massive.
And I finally got one. They were back ordered for a long time, and so
Oh,
I
I'm so
haven't.
happy that
Yeah,
that you found Jessica through me and that you found that. That's
yeah, yeah.
awesome. Do you have it there so you can show
I
it to
do.
us?
Yeah, you want to see it?
Yeah, yeah, since you're talking about it, let's see it. Oh my God, I love that you went to get it. Oh my God.
It's
I
so
remember when
big.
Jessica was using it, but I'm wondering because you don't work that large, so are you using it now?
I have not used this one yet. I have another one that's like half the size that I've used. Um, but I plan to use this. I mean, I have a big painting behind me that you'll see. But I'm so excited about this.
Oh
I
my
bought
God.
I I bought a broom, like a broom, the bottom, so
Yeah,
I could try that because I had
yeah.
not seen the Hake brush yet. But that's how, you have something in your head. I bought a squeegee, I bought a broom, I'm like, something has to work for this thing that I have in my head. So that's kind of how. And then I just discovered, I think, wandering down the aisles of the art store, I found the high flow acrylics, which I use a lot. I love
Yeah.
those. Um, but yeah, I think it's just, problem solving, trying to figure out what would work, that goes for my tools, not so much my materials. I guess my materials, I think I kind of imagine something that I want to happen, and then I have to find a way to make it work.
Oh, I just saw Robin Marie popped in. She's a good friend
Oh,
of both of ours.
hi.
She's probably laughing talking about that big, huge brush. I so now I guess now it's a perfect time to take us around your studio and show us around, and we can talk a little bit about your paintings because they are phenomenal, and I love your work. So,
Okay.
um,
Look what I know how to do now.
we love
Look.
you.
All
Oh
right.
my
So
gosh.
This is, I mean, I sort of left things messy, but I just figured I would kind of keep it real.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so this is when I do watercolors right now, these are the watercolors I use, and I don't have a fancy palette. I just have these
I'm just going to
little,
turn the comments off and then I'll
okay.
turn them back on when we have 10 minutes left for questions.
Okay, so these are the watercolors that I'm using right now. They're made, they're handmade by a woman in, I think, Arkansas. Her name is Kelsey, and she has I always say it because I love that she's just a small business. It's 31 Purple Fish on Etsy.
Oh, wow.
But this is, and it has, it's preserved with clove oil, so it smells really delicious. Um, there's so many products here that are things that I don't know. The lighting is kind of bad too.
Where do you, I'm sorry, where do you get those watercolors?
The paint
Through,
is
yeah,
Etsy. It's the shop
it's
is called 31 Purple Fish. She's on Instagram also.
okay, great. Love that.
So these are the watercolor markers by Winsor and Newton that I first started with. I can kind of like play with those in a little bit. These are brush pens that I was doing the note cards with, and I still have the giant collection.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm envious right now.
These are, you know, this, you showed me, I discovered this through one of your videos, the liquid chalk markers, which I love using in my journals. And these are like this stack right here, and these, the Posca pens. And then these, people ask me about all the time, which I can show you these too when I do my journal thing.
Okay, perfect.
They're tempera paint sticks, and they dry super fast, which makes them great for a journal. And then you can just see, like, I pretty much keep everything here so that while I'm working on my paper pieces, everything's pretty much within reach.
Awesome.
That's a piece I'm working on right now. It's like in the beginning stages.
Ooh.
That is, right now, all that's on there is high flow acrylic.
Oh, I love that. I love the drips too.
Yeah. And these are some of the paper pieces that so this is a little bit of experimental work with the
yarn.
Pieces of yarn. Yeah. This one too.
I love that. It gives it a whole different dimension to your painting, and it almost feels like it's coming out to you.
Yeah. I mean,
and so I'm loving that. I really do.
So my dream is to take that, like that size, and then have this whole, you know, like you could swipe the whole thing as you're walking by.
Yes, I would love that.
So these
I would be the first one to do that, actually.
Yeah. Let me turn on, it's kind of dark in here. I don't know if that's better, but so I'm sort of in a stage of trying to take my small watercolors.
Can you go in closer so we can look at the textures? Because I know, see, you do a lot of texture in there, and your mark making is amazing, and it can be so precise too. Like, you're so good about, you know, your line making. It's incredible.
Thank you. So you were saying to me, like, how do you discover your different materials that you're going to use? And this is exactly what I was talking about. Like, I wanted to take my small watercolors larger, so I'm kind of doing it in steps to discover what works. This is on watercolor ground. Is that the right term for that?
Yes.
So I was playing with the ground, and then I ended up mixing, you know, the watercolors didn't look great. They weren't as vibrant as I wanted them to be for that large of a painting. So then I ended up mixing the high flow with it and over it. So I think it's just a lot of experimentation.
For sure it is. Wow.
And then that one, these up here are actually, it's paper mounted on wood panel.
Okay. And we'll talk about how you mount them, how you actually, you know, adhere them, but we'll talk about it when you're actually sitting down. But, you know, it's important to know how to do it and do it correctly. And I get that question all the time too. So we can definitely talk about that.
Okay.
And you're very geometrical and repetitive in shapes and forms. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
So it's interesting. Yeah, I guess I am, because I think I want a little bit of organization to each piece, but I also like when there isn't. Um, I think I tend to kind of habitually go to something a little bit more organized. This one in particular, I like
I love that.
it's not as geometric. I like, it feels more natural to me. So
It
that
feels
is
more
actually,
organic.
yes, this is where I would like to end up in most things, but but a lot of times it doesn't always happen that way.
I get that. Yep,
Yeah.
I do get that. But you have your own language, and I think you have to listen. It's okay to be, organized in your painting. And if that's who you are, it's coming through that way. And so, and it's very, I don't know, it's very engaging. I love the geometric forms. I think you have your own language. And the more you're painting, you're finding your way. I love when you do your loose strokes and when you're not thinking as much. And I think that comes in your larger pieces versus your smaller pieces.
Yeah, I think that that's true. Although this one I'm stuck on right now. Like I haven't worked on this for 2 weeks because I don't know what to do next.
Well, I would say just go for it. Trial and error. Who
Yeah.
cares at this point, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're painting for yourself and put on your music, dance to it, and you'll start having a response to it. And
Yeah.
so, don't be afraid. Like if you have to gesso part of it, go for it, and
Yeah.
I think that the more loose you are, the better the result will be. So the more pressure that you have to have because it needs to be perfect, then you'll start having all these problems and setbacks. And it's something that it's in our minds. And when we remove that noise from ourselves, because we're our worst critics,
Mm-hmm.
I think that you can go for it. So I'll
Yeah.
be curious to know how you move forward on that one.
Well, yeah, I am too, actually. I really, there are parts that I love to it, and I'm afraid of ruining those parts, which I think is what is
So
stopping
mask
me.
it.
Yeah. Well, that's
Mask part
true.
of it,
That's true.
and
Yeah.
you can always, just literally put some tape on top of things that you like, and
Right.
the things that are not working for you, just, you know, go
Yeah.
at it. Use that brush that you have
Yeah,
that you
I
haven't
know,
used.
right? I did want to show you one more thing before we move
Yes,
on.
for sure.
This is my little collection of the panels that I've been making.
Amazing.
They're kind of like stacked in front of each other, but this was like the bottom, you can see I really wanted to experiment with collage and using the black and white patterns, which I did for a long time, and then I burned out on it. So
But you created a family. I
I
mean,
did create a family, but
yeah.
you can kind of see like how they start, as you move up, and then we're getting back into, like that's more my comfort zone,
Yes,
and where
for sure.
I like kind of love hanging out in that more organic area instead of it being so, I think harsh, maybe. I don't know if harsh is
Yeah.
the right word. But
I
anyway, I don't
love
know.
the white mark that you have on the top left, I guess, for you. Or right, sorry, right. And then go down. You have white marks on top of yeah,
Wait,
right
here.
there.
Oh, here?
Yeah. I love that white. I think you use a white pen for that.
Oh, right here.
Yeah,
This, yeah, that was
yeah.
pen. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what I love about this family that you have created is that when you see the whole thing, um, they are talking to each other and it informs you for your next one. So I think it's important to have like a series of paintings
Mm-hmm.
that they're, because then it's actually like a dictionary for yourself, where to go next.
Right.
So you kind of
Mm-hmm.
look into what you have and then you move forward. So
Right.
if you're thinking of finding your own language of art, this is a great way to do it, Sarah. Like
Yeah.
you nail it down. This is a perfect way to do it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Repetition.
Repetition and just going back to seeing your own work and what you love about it and what you hate
Right.
about it, and then
Right.
try to emulate what you love about the things
Right.
and keep going at that instead
Mm-hmm.
of, just getting down on yourself on the things that are not working. Just keep
Right.
doing, keep doing, keep doing. And I think that it's just a thing that will, it's a muscle memory too, right? Like when
Mm-hmm.
we use it, it's there. When we don't use it, then we're scared to come back.
Right.
So, because then we're like, oh, do I even know how to paint? It
Yeah.
happens to me all the time,
Yeah.
because I've been out of town and I haven't been in my studio, and then I think to myself, oh my God, I'm paralyzed. Do I know how
Yeah.
to paint?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Uh-huh. For
It
sure.
does happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I even look at, so I think, we sort of grazed by it and didn't really talk about it. You had said, you asked to talk about a little bit about, Instagram and growth, and somewhere we were along those lines.
Yep.
I listened to, at the beginning of this whole thing, I had heard a podcast by Andy J. Pizza, who has great advice.
Yes.
And the catalyst for me was that he said, see if you can double your following. So I had 250 followers. I was like, all right. He's like, by this time next year, double your following. I was like, done. Like, I can do that. So that was the beginning of my journey. But my whole point was, I still listen to his podcast, and he was talking on his most recent one about what happened, like what to do if you are just if you like hate your work, like you're so done with it, you don't like it anymore, you can't see what anybody ever liked about it. And I think I kind of went through a phase of that, where just really not enjoying the stuff I was making, and it was the same marks over and over again, and it was kind of like blah. I wasn't loving it. But I do have a painting that I made probably it might be 3 years ago now, and I loved it. I still love it, and it's hanging in our living room. And he was saying, like, go back to something that you really, really loved, and
100%.
figure out what it was that you loved, and use that as your muse. And that really, when he was talking about it, I was like, that's what I did. That painting that I have that I love has been my muse for these newer panels, and for the ones that I'm taking those larger. And that's my whole goal, is to try to get back to making more like that big giant one that I made 2 years ago.
You yourself, and you are your encyclopedia. You are your dictionary.
Right.
You can look back and look at the things that work, or look at what you're doing right now and things that you respond to, and go for that, to have that response, so you don't get into the blah moment.
Right, exactly. So anyway, It was just, I thought it was an interesting point, and it must be common for a lot of artists to go through that emotion. If it's popular enough for him to make a podcast about, there's probably other people out there that are having the same issue.
Right, exactly. All right, so let's go and show us your favorite materials, I guess, and what you're going to show us today.
Okay. So right before I got on, my gooseneck tripod broke because I was wrenching it around.
Okay.
It just snapped.
I'll tell you. I'll
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I can, I'm gonna have to do it one-handed maybe.
Okay.
Which is gonna be tricky. I was just gonna show you a couple things.
That's fine. Is there any chance that you can lower the face of the? Oh, you're actually gonna, there.
Well, I know, but it's gonna topple over. I think I actually have to hold it, which is gonna be really tricky.
Oh no.
Hang on, let me do this. Okay.
Oh.
We're gonna see if this works.
Yeah, that works.
I can't do anything too detailed since I'm holding it, but
okay. Is that your journal?
This is one of them. I actually didn't show you all. I have all these journals here, like a stack.
Please show us.
This is a watercolor journal that I have.
What kind of paper is that?
This one is, I think it's 140-pound watercolor paper, but this is I don't know if Stillman and Byrne is the brand of this one.
Yep.
And I love this journal. It's one of my favorites. This is, gosh, I don't know if I remember the name of this one. but it's vintage. I don't think it's truly vintage paper. It's vintage look is
Look.
yeah, vintage look. But this one was actually
Oof.
sent to me to kind of like preview it, but it takes ink really well. It takes the watercolor really well. It's really cool looking. It's like ancient
Yeah.
text or something.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I
And
wish
I know
that
you use a lot of books too. Like you repurpose the books.
I do. Yes, this is one of those. So I gesso the pages first, and then I paint, usually with acrylic, and then I just keep wax paper in between the pages so they don't stick. But this is one of those.
Oh, how fun.
They are
I
fun.
love that.
And then this is just another. This one actually is a Moleskine. I should do this on the table. This one is a Moleskine sketchbook, which is not the best for mixed media, but I just started using it and I loved the square shape to it. So I just continued on. I just gesso the pages first.
Yeah.
But this is Posca pen here and some of the liquid chalk marker. And
I love that.
Yeah, see, look, this one's stuck. I didn't have it separated. Oh, there we go. But this is.
Do you spray in between? Do you spray at all?
Yes. If I use the liquid chalk marker, I'll spray with the workable fixative before I move on to something else, so it doesn't all smear.
Okay.
This right here is the tempera paint stick, and it's really cool.
It has texture, yeah.
Yeah, and this is just a lot of acrylic and kind of a little bit of everything. I think this must be. I think that might be
love that.
Oil pastel. So there's ugly stuff in here too.
The color combination, and again the geometric forms,
yeah,
and the value changes and the design of it is really, really fun and just a cool. Look at that. I love that. Wow.
So, and then I also use, just because the whole reason I use the old books is just to kind of make use out of stuff that's not useful. This is a magazine. Like Chevy puts out these magazines that have really thick paper they're trying to sell us cars.
Yeah.
So this is the Chevy magazine, but
their catalog.
Yeah, this is their catalog.
You should send it back to them.
Yeah, I should. So these are the pages that I've done in here so far.
And you gesso them?
These were gessoed first, yeah.
Wow, look at that. Oh my God, I love that.
Some of these pages, I hate this page right here, but it is what it is. But there's a lot of texture.
Hate is a strong word. Let's not use that.
All right, I can't say hate. But.
No.
But you can see this is the phase that I went through where I was really using a lot of bold, dark colors, and then this is amazing. I love these books because it's just whatever mood strikes me.
Yeah, and I love that you're using that. I mean, how great is that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And they're a fun thing. I imagine, when it's done, I'll end up putting it back out on the coffee table or something for people to flip through.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh. I love, love, love each one of them. And they're so different, and yet, they speak to each other. It's such a fun way for you to work.
It is. And it's, when I can't do anything else, if I can just do a journal page, like something like this.
It's a win for sure.
Yeah, it's a win.
Yeah.
So
amazing. Okay.
I just, I'm not going to do any because I have to hold with one hand.
Yeah. No worries.
Hang on just one second. I have to clip this down. Give me a second.
Yep. She's coming back, guys.
I know.
It's not.
I was madly, frantically searching for crazy glue so I could at least try to glue the tripod back together.
Oh God, no!
But I couldn't get it.
No, don't worry about it. All good. It's great.
All right, so this is the watercolor pen. I'm actually kind of curious if it's going to work really well on this paper because I don't know if this is watercolor paper.
And that's the Newton.
Winsor and Newton.
Linton, yep.
So the cool thing about these is that if the paper is right, and I didn't.
It looks fine.
Yeah, my water is a little bit pink here. But
do you dip it in water then?
that I did dip in water. So you see how it runs? So
Yeah.
you can either have the super crisp line, or you can blend them together. But you can do anything. This is kind of how my little ones started. Let me find, I don't love the black. Oh, here, Payne's Gray. That was my favorite. So
I love Payne's Gray.
I know. I started just like playing when I was doing my little paintings.
Okay.
And the thing that I discovered that I was just in awe of and so in love with was I would just wet it after and watch it kind of like come to life and
bleed. Yeah. Yes.
And that honestly, like just moving the paint around like that and experiencing that the first time was kind of what started my whole road down, my whole abstract road.
Yeah.
So that's one material that I like to use, especially in my journals. I don't use the watercolor markers.
Do you use it? I was going to ask if you use that on canvas, or does it not have the same effect?
No, not on canvas. It on larger watercolor paper, sure, but not on canvas. Which is what my struggle has been, is trying to replicate that effect on a canvas.
Yeah, maybe the fluid ones will work.
Right.
Best.
Yeah. So let's see, and then these are the tempera paint sticks. I have, if anybody wants to see them in more, detail, I have a couple of videos on my Instagram where I go through the journal process. And I use them in those, but these kind of go on like lipstick. It's so fun.
Seriously, it's so fun. I have them. When I saw them on your Instagram, I'm like, I have to get them.
Oh yeah. They're such an enjoyable, like a sensory pleasure when you're using them.
Yeah, because it feels like lipstick. It does.
Right. It really does. So this is already dry after I just put that on there, and you smooth or mess it around.
Yeah. And the marks are remarkable, and the color is pretty cool too. You know?
They're very vibrant. If you work quickly, I don't know if I can get the lids off with one hand quick enough, but they will.
Someone just said maybe try watercolor ground on canvas.
That's well, I did that on a panel.
Right. We talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So this
so cool.
This is what I wanted to show, is just if you work fast enough, you can mix the colors. They do kind of like smear together, which is kind of a nice trait too.
Yeah, for sure.
And then what else? Well, these.
Which ones?
The liquid chalk markers.
Yeah. One of my favorites.
Mm-hmm. Super vibrant, and they go right over the top of the tempera paint stick. So that's cool.
So
these
cool.
are just all
and they
really
have
fun.
All kinds of colors, you guys. They're really fun. And Sarah, can you just show the brand so people can see?
This one, I'm not super loyal to this brand. This is just what I have. This is called Positive Art, and it's.
I haven't heard of them.
I just got them on Instagram, or not Instagram, but Amazon, just because I loved the color selection. So that's how I found that one.
And do you and you like them?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
But I have nothing to compare them to. So
right, true. And the price is okay on those?
Yeah. It was, I think, so it came in this box set right here, all these different colors, and I feel like they were, in the $20 range for all of those.
Oh, that's pretty amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
That's really good. Really good. So quickly, let's just talk about how you attach the paper to the canvas, to the board.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I actually do have a whole video about that. But I can run through it really quick now. Let me really
quick, because we're going to open it for questions, and then you're going to tell us all about your new endeavors and where can we find you and all good stuff.
Okay, hang on. I'm getting stuff together.
Okay.
So this is, these are the panels that I use. These are Da Vinci.
Okay.
And they're like a medium textured, so it's not super smooth.
Okay.
And if I'm thinking ahead, before I do any painting for the thing that I want to mount, I put it on my watercolor block and line it up and then I tape. Can you see
The
the tape
edges
around
of
the
it.
edges?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
So then
Yes.
that just tells me that's my frame, and I want to keep my composition within there.
Okay.
And then let me grab. Hang on. So I've done the majority of this composition here, but I'm still going to add details later. But when I'm ready to attach the panel and the paper, I will first put, this is matte medium.
Mm-hmm.
And I put it on here and try to get it as even as I can. And then, okay, so pause for just a second, because before you do that, the way to line this up is to put the painted side down, and then put your panel on here, and then hold it up to the light so you can see the frame that the tape creates. And then once you have that all lined up, put it down, trace it with a pencil so you can see the square where your panel needs to land. And then put your matte medium on, and then face down, put this on, and then I flip it usually, and then I have a piece of glassine paper over the top, and then I press it from the center out to get the bubbles out.
The bubbles out.
Yeah, and then flip it over, and I put it on the floor because I've done it on other surfaces that aren't quite flat enough, and I end up with bubbles. But I put it on the floor, and then I weigh it down with books, and I leave it for 24 hours. And then awesome. After that, when I flip it up again, I'll take the tape off, turn it over, and then trim all the edges so that it's even.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for the tip. And look for Sarah's videos because she does have them on. So if you guys have any questions, this will be the time to answer them. But as we finish this, please tell us your new and incredible Patreon thing that you're working on, and you have been working on it, and you have members, and so tell us a little bit about that.
So I do have a Patreon page, which is basically almost like a monthly membership, but for a very low price. Do you want to get these questions now?
Yeah, let's do that. Do you paint the edges of the panels?
I don't. I tape them off before I add the acrylic medium, because then it's just so much easier, and it keeps it nice and clean when you peel the tape off. It's just the natural wooden edge.
Okay. And then I will link some of the materials. Sarah, please send them to me right after the interview. So I put them right on the interview. So just look on my notes, and they will be there. So yeah. Yeah. Again, acrylic links. Yeah, I will have those under here. So can I begin the 100-day project any moment?
Well, they have a date that they actually start where they launch it with everybody, but yes, you can do it anytime. You can still use the hashtags. I think the benefit to doing the 100-day project is so great that I would say don't wait for next year. I would do it now, and I would start hashtagging with a 100-day project and just get going with it. And people do it all the time.
Yeah, you don't have to worry. I mean, unless you want to wait, but if you're ready now, start now. Don't wait.
Yeah.
So, okay, so keep telling us.
Oh, the Patreon. Okay. So I have been just sharing, like some extra photos from the studio when I'm doing work. And we do once a month a question and answer, which I think is just going to end up being more like a chat where they can have me to themselves, the members of Patreon. I share extra videos. Like if I do a short video and share it on Instagram, I'll do the full length one and share it there on Patreon. And I share more about my journals. So right now that's what it is. And it's just a way for people to be able to support me in my practice. And what it is for creators, a lot of times it helps them make a cushion for themselves so that they're not so worried about, what if I don't sell enough? Like they can keep going. So this is like a great gift to me if people want to do this with me and come along for that ride, because it helps.
So there's a question on that. Do you find Patreon to be kind of demanding, or are you enjoying it?
Well, I'm going to revamp some because it has been kind of demanding. But I enjoy the people that are there so much that, there was a moment where I was wondering if I was going to keep doing it. But I think I want to keep doing it. I just need to revamp it so it works better with what I am doing. And I think there might just be more, instead of such curated things like videos that are, I mean, those could actually be classes. So what would end up happening is if I'm developing a class, the Patreon people would get first access and maybe discounts, things like that. But I think that I'm going to save my edited, really curated videos for something else. I think what I'm planning on doing more is just having times where I can be available to people, where I can sit with them kind of like we are, at a set time every month or maybe twice a month, where I can, take them around the studio, or if they have specific questions, we can talk about it. But I think it's going to have to be less work in the preparation of the things that I provide, but more one-on-one, not one-on-one, but group time together. So
Yeah, it's kind of like a mentorship kind of thing too.
Right. So that they can see what's going on, and I can share information, or, my process, or if they want to hear about the artwork that I'm doing at the time, then that's what we can talk about. But it's a way for people to have access to me where they can't get it elsewhere.
For sure. And someone just said, I have a full-time job, but I would love to do it as well, but I worry about fulfilling regularly. So if we're talking about the 100-day project, start it, do it at your own pace. Try to do a little something every day. If you can't, it's okay. And be gentle to yourself if you're not, providing something every single day. But if you have, the itch to start, God, just go for it.
Yeah. Well, these panels, the 10 by 10 panels, are a 100-day project for myself. I'm not following any schedule. I started them months and months and months ago, and I don't even know, because I haven't been keeping track. I don't know how many I've done. I might be at 50. But my goal with those was to make it to 100. So I'm kind of like...
So just, I guess it's just go for it, What kind of materials do you use to protect your artwork?
So the canvas pieces that I use Liquitex satin varnish on those. The watercolor pieces, when I'm selling something that's going to end up in a frame, I will spray it with fixative if there's something on it that has potential to smear, like when somebody's handling it for the framing process or whatever. And the panels, I sprayed them if they have smearable things, but I don't really mess with them too much. People ask me all the time if I seal them. I seal them if there's something that has potential to smear if somebody's going to touch it. But other than that, I don't. And I don't know, that might be a big no-no, but...
Oh my God, we have to talk about the artwork that we are donating. It's going super fast, and we only have like 2 more minutes.
Okay.
And
let me go grab it.
Let's show it. Yes. And also someone is saying, do you ever sell some of your art journal pages? Probably not, because they're in a journal, but I don't know.
I don't sell my journal pages, but I have played with the idea of doing an entire journal and then selling the entire journal at the end. But I don't know if I'd be able to part with it.
You guys, if you want to buy this painting today, this will be for sale today for $300. 100% of the proceeds will go to Feeding America. Please, 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 if you're interested, DM me or Sarah. This gorgeous canvas 12 by 12 can be yours today, and you will be helping so many people. So if you're a fan of Sarah, and if you want to help 3,000 meals today, please buy this painting today. Let us know. Sarah, always a pleasure. I can't believe we're running and going so fast on this. We'll have to do it again, which I'm sure we will. I love you. Thank you, my friend, so much. And I will see everyone on Saturday, and I can't wait to see you guys. And thank you, Sarah.
Okay. I'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.